Hello again, Lou Hamilton from Audible Elegance here in Cincinnati, Ohio, just a few doors north of the Montgomery Inn on Montgomery Road. And I'm glad to see you all back. And if you get a chance, wander over to our website and enjoy my blog or the Instagram post. And we have Twitter and Facebook. So that contains all sorts of different information, and really enjoy it. Tonight we're going to talk about one of the hobgoblins I have to deal with when I work with turntables, and that is people going out and buying used phono cartridges. And this is a broken Ortophon, so it's not reflective of Ortophon itself. But what I want to talk about is why that's a really bad idea. And so my advice to most people is don't do it. It's that simple. It all kind of starts out with the aging of a cartridge itself. And while you might not be able to see it too well, I'm going to use my flashlight here and try to highlight it. You'll see that there's actually a rubber sort of suspension to it. And what that allows the cantilever to do is to move upwards and downwards, because records are amplitude modulations. That's what they do. Well, anybody who's had anything made out of rubber knows that over a period of time, the rubber slowly gets stiffer and stiffer and dries out. So what happens is the performance of the cartridge itself is nowhere near what it was originally designed to do. So, if you're going out there and buying a cartridge and someone says, it's never been used and it's sitting in the box and it's 10 or 15 years old. Well, number one, you're trusting them that they're actually telling you it's never been used. But more importantly, is that rubber still drying out? I've had situations where equipment's come in from Los Angeles, for example, where the pollution is particularly bad. And it was so difficult to deal with because he even admitted that his wetsuits he had to replace every 2 or 3 years because of the pollution actually destroying the rubber of the wetsuit. Nice chap. So, number one is you don't know the age of the rubber suspension at all. And this is not only true for moving magnets, but more critically for moving coils, because they too rely upon a suspension for movement. So part one is it's not a good idea to buy a moving used cartridge because of age. That's part one. The next part you have to watch out for is if it's been used or not. There are plenty of sites out there that have pictures of worn styli. And what you'll see is as the needle goes around in the groove, as I said before, it's instantaneously heating the vinyl up to about 600 degrees under about 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. So even though it's diamond, it does wear and will develop flat spots on the side. Well, if it's mounted on the table, that you have, those flat spots are more or less are in alignment with the grooves, that it's the geometry is set up. But if someone dismounts that cartridge and tries to pawn it on you, the problem you have is, let's say that this angle is the perfect angle for it being remounted, but you don't know that. It might be this, or it might be that. What begins to happen is you take those flat spots that are worn into the styli, and now you've turned them into cutting edges on your vinyl. Again, not a really good idea. And keep in mind that after a cartridge has been used for roughly 50 hours, it's mated to that arm and setup. If they say low hours, less than 100, it's already shot. It's already set up to do damage to your vinyl. And unless you have the ability to control who is selling you the cartridge, and you have the ability to scope it and look at it, and there's some nice little aftermarket ditties out there where you can look at styli, you're really buying a pig in the poke. And honestly, most people who are peddling used cartridges, if you look at the rest of their listings, you'll probably find used car parts, skateboards, and everything else. I mean, they really don't give a shit about your record collection. You know, they're just see an instant 20 or 50 bucks or something they found at Goodwill. I mean, let's get serious here, folks. You know, so that's the second reason is, you know, you don't even know the amount of wear that's on the stylus itself, and it's just bad news. By the way, we do represent Ortofon cartridges. We do enjoy selling them. They mount very nicely on a great number of tables. So if you need a new style, you know, new cartridge, Ortofon, Hana. If you're into moving coils and really nice ones, we also represent Grado, nice little moving magnet cartridge. You know, stop on by. We got it taken care of. And then the final thing, if you're even looking at a used cartridge, is you don't know what care has been given to that cartridge itself over, hopefully, its very short life. So, you know, if they've used fluids and all sorts of gobbledygook on it, or something on the contacts that, you know, deteriorates and goes to hell, you're not getting a piece that is worth the value, because you don't know what the hell's been done to it. And very rarely do I see a cartridge come in from somebody who knows exactly what they're doing to mount it up. And again, you know, you can look at some of my earlier videos about buying a used turntable. The geometry of even setting it up is very critical. And, you know, if you're just buying a used cartridge and unscrewing a couple things and screwing it back on, I mean, you don't even have the distance right for proper tracking angle to begin with. Now we got that cutting edge on there onto something that is, you know, is about as flexible as a brick, and it's not worth it. So people who go out and buy like these used Pickerings or, you know, some really old cartridges, you're just frankly asking for it. Things like Shure V15s, Type 2, and that sort of stuff, they were, you know, a cartridge of some renown in their days, but they're like 30 and 40 years old. I mean, you know, if you're going to be that compulsive about getting a deal, may I suggest you look for 30 and 40-year-old hoses to put on your washing machine, because you're just asking for it.